Welcome to Gamers Platform. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Adam Wolf from Gamers Platform, and this is Mass Effect Andromeda, patch 1.05. We are going to be going over some of the more important notes from the most recent patch, but if you want to go a little bit more in depth as to some other details, I will leave the links to the patch notes down in the description. There will be the patch notes for the single player and the patch notes for the multiplayer. To start things off, as you can see right here, we've got the pre-patch on the left side, so basically the base game before it was fixed-ish. Then we got patch 1.05 in the middle, and the one on the right is where I have turned off depth of field and motion blur. That's one of the things that weren't mentioned in the patch notes, actually. I found that out myself. They have given us the ability to toggle on and off motion blur and turn the depth of field quality from low to, or off to ultra, which I thought was excellent because, as you can see, it certainly improves the performance of the game quite a bit. A little tidbit thing here, loading screens show the game building the shaders. I'm not sure why or how important that is to some of you guys. I guess it's okay. But you know, it tells you a little bit more information as to what it's doing while it's loading. They moved the frame buffer format to the graphics section. And if you look very closely in some of these cutscenes, in which they just decided to go off kilter there, you'll notice that the facial animations are absolutely much improved compared to the original release, which is fantastic. They finally look like they blink normally, and their eyes aren't so freaking big because their eyelids aren't halfway down their eye. But it's looking pretty good. Also, got to mention it is on 1080p ultra settings. Vertical sync is off, of course. And of course, like I mentioned, turning off motion blur and depth of field yields, at least in some of the best scenarios, 10 more frames. In this particular situation, you can see that it's almost even across the board in some situations there. But if you're lucky, you'll get at least 10 frames a second extra, which is really good. Actually, that's very good. Dialogue is much smoother in this patch. It seemed as though there was a delay once you hit your option after whatever character was talking. It would seem as though it would take a couple extra seconds to catch up, and so that has actually been slightly improved, which is fantastic. So there's that, and of course dialogue throughout the world. This is one of my biggest problems that I had before was, if somebody was in the middle of talking, their dialogue would be interrupted if you moved forward in the map, or if you said something or did something or whatever, and it got interrupted and cut off, and it was kind of annoying and stupid. Now, this is running on the R9 390 that I have, the 8GB version, obviously. And I decided to go with this one because I was actually told by one of my a commenter on one of my on my major analysis video that AMD cards seemingly have a problem with tessellation. I'm not sure why. AMD that's like one of their favorite things, one of their favorite features, but if you're an AMD user like me and you have a Hawaii architecture graphics card and you're curious as to how to turn this off, you don't know how to work Crimson software, you just go into the Crimson software. If the game's not in your little set of games, you can go to add or browse. You want to add and then browse for where the game is installed. Look for the Mass Effect executable file. Put that in Radeon Crimson, and then you click inside there, and then you go to tessellation. I'm actually deciding to turn it off because I've turned it to AMD optimized, and it seemingly didn't do anything. So I decided to turn it off, and I actually found that it added even a little bit more frame rate. So that was actually a really cool thing. Thanks to that gentleman in the comments. I will put his name in the video. I completely forgot to put that in my notes. But thanks to the gentleman for pointing that out to me. I did not know that. So if you're an AMD user and you would like to turn tessellation off for yourself, that's how you do it. But like I said, one other thing is that when I was going into doing the benchmark, my initial loading of Habitat 7 was extremely bad. It was extremely laggy. The general transitions of the game actually have been smoothed over, which is really good because that caused a lot of frame rate dips in the past. But in patch 1.05, transitions between cutscene intervals is actually much smoother now. So, but I fear as though maybe loading took a hit in that sense. But streaming is definitely a lot better. Texture streaming and stuff like that, a lot better. Still could use some improvement, but it's definitely a step up in the right direction. But that's going to do it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for checking this out. And again, the patch notes will be in the description if you want to get a little bit more in-depth analysis. But until next time, guys, I'm Adam Wolf. This is Mass Effect Andromeda, and I will see you guys in the next one.